people, and a lady specifically out of Greensboro that owns 2,500 units the last time I talked to her. So we all can do this, and putting on sessions such as what you guys are doing today and allowing me to come in, we're going to do that together. Some of this I'm going to skip over because I really thought I'd cut it out, but basically, so you know a general process of what goes on, so you know what we do, and then we'll focus on the tools to help you accomplish what you want. We deal with homes that are in default. In the future, our company is going to steer towards actually get involved in the short sale process as well and start advertising short sales. Our goal is to be the elite online, what's the best word fits, mechanism to allow you to buy properties from your house. We don't want you to have to go anywhere because that's money. So this will eventually probably start with short sales, but then the house goes in default, it goes to foreclosure, it goes to an auction. If it's not foreclosed, it goes into REO. Many of these properties, when we say they are distressed, will have liens and things that you'll want to educate yourself on in another period, in another class type environment. But it is a more risky investment, these are. So we're dealing with auctions that are weekly, online auctions that last 3 or 4 days that you can go in, and I'll show you today. Look at these. And from home, a lot of people call us the 9-to-5 investor company for folks that can sit at home and say, I have a good bit of information I can pull right in my fingertips. And with a little more knowledge, a whole lot more from the city, county, or jurisdiction that can help me do this. So that's what I'm here to do today. So what I'm going to do is open it up, and if someone wants to mediate it, if there's any questions about auction.com before we get started, or objections, not specifically, we're not here to talk about processes tonight. We're not here to talk about the nuances of bidding strategy. I want to get to the tools, but I want to overcome or at least address any objections that anyone may have going into tonight that could limit what you take from this.
So if anyone has anything at all that you want to ask, please go ahead and put that in the chat right there.
All right. I'll give it just a minute.
All right.
All right, cool. Not seeing much going, so good. Hopefully by now, those that have used this, you get a good understanding of the information that is there. And like in Kathy, not throwing you under the bus, but we had spoke earlier, Kathy and herself has had some bad experiences with auction.com. And I knew for a fact from going to y'all's meetings a couple years ago, she was not a big fan of auction.com, but at least she's warming up to us. And having someone to explain this stuff when questions come up does make a difference. And that's something this company's really focused on, is very much customer centric.
It makes a huge difference. And I just so y'all know, after Tim did his presentation last time, I went back on auction.com, and I'm super excited about a property right now that I'm looking at, actually a couple of them. So yeah, it's definitely, and if you want to hear about my horror story, which actually was not the fault of auction.com in any way, but it was still a horror story, I'm going to be presenting that case study, I think it's next week, at the millennial subgroup. So sign on to that one. And I still do not have any questions yet, Tim. So they must be saving them to the end.
Awesome. Perfect. So we're going to roll on. And the first thing I'm going to dive into, and the one difficulty in Zoom and me not being able to use, I mean, it's kind of tough to use multiple devices. So we commonly all use the app today. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit because it's not something I can demonstrate. So when I move to these next slides, these screenshots, really do pay attention. So if you go, or if you have your phone to your side or another phone with the auction.com app on there, feel free to follow along, put questions into the chat, and I'll try to navigate through. But I'm not going to be able to actually show my phone screen or share my phone screen at this point. So the auction.com app is obviously just our mobile version of our website, which we all know by now, dealing with apps is very different aesthetically than, you know, I'm sitting here looking at my laptop now, so very different. So some of the things you'll be able to do that you can do on the website, and screenshots will look like this. We'll keep you updated on the COVID-19 because there are moratoriums on foreclosures, which just means that many of the foreclosures are being canceled due to COVID and due to specific localities having, you know, restrictions on gatherings. I knew I'd get it out eventually. Thank you. You'll be able to see these properties. It gives you a nice picture. Read the information on here because I'll get phone calls and they're like, yeah, I'm looking at my app, you know, what's the starting bid or what's the opening bid? And I mean, it's many times it's listed right here. Or when does the auction end? And it's listed right there. If you're like me and you're on my work phone's an iPhone, it's small. So thank goodness for reading glasses. Yes, it's hard to read, but there's a lot of information there. Now, full disclosure on any of the information that's shared on our website, our apps, or so forth, so much of it is provided by third parties, whether it's collateral analytics, whether it's a company out taking pictures. We do everything we can to QA these. For example, I worked in California for about 2 weeks, and all I did was QA, edit, crop, or cut out, drop photographs that were sent to us, and I had to check them with Google Maps, GIS maps, and to confirm. So we do go through great length to try to keep all this stuff, but that's, you know, it does happen. It's being provided by third parties. You can stay, and this is something I'm going to incorporate what I'm talking about here into our first company kind of mock, well, I say mock, but they put $250,000 in my auction.com account and auction. And I worked completely from my phone. One of the reasons I like doing this is because I knew I was going to be talking tonight. So it gives me a really good working knowledge as a bidder, finally, how this works. So you'll be able to stay up to date on properties. So if you have, and if there's chats coming in and their questions, I will get those to it in a minute. You're able to, if you save these properties, what will happen? This is your dashboard. It's your favorited properties. You'll see down here, I know it's a little gray. It says dashboard, favorites, foreclosures, settings, search, if you're watching my screen. What it'll do is have a star that's, you know, lets you know. It'll also let you know that you still need to register. It'll let you know that the auction ended. Something very important when you're doing this, and I noticed when we came to online, is we have something called Foreclosure Interact, which when you go into foreclosures, you know, don't know that I have a slide on it. When you go into foreclosures, you can actually pull your county up. So you could say Wake County, and it will, you can pick, it'll show a calendar. Here are the auction dates, and you can pick the auction date you want, open it, and as soon as it clears, it will indicate by color change, letting you know that it's cleared for sale. It will tell you if it's postponed. It'll look yellow. We'll talk about some of that stuff in a little bit, but it'll give you a visual representation. I call it a bingo board because that's kind of what it looks like, a bunch of squares with properties on them, and it will easily identify which one's cleared, postponed, and canceled. Let's do the next one. So that with the apps, the main takeaway there is it's the same information is on the site, which we're going to talk about, but really when you look at the bottom of the app or when you're in your dashboard, which I'm going to show you on the website, look at the foreclosures, and you can set it home any morning you want and view these auctions and, you know, save the asset, and you'll be able to see what it closed at or what it sold to a third party at before that data gets taken off at times, because it will, I mean, when it goes into closing and so forth, that'll come off. But nonetheless, the app's a great tool. If you have more questions and you want more instruction on the app, just call me. I'm not going to insult anyone's intelligence on how to navigate it. Most of us are fairly tech savvy, or kind of have to be nowadays. So what we're going to do, we get to these slides with the website and yada, yada. And this is where it gets a little boring to me. So I'm going to get out of this and we're going to go straight to the website. And I have some tabs open that I'm going to share with you guys. And what I'm going to do real quick is just check in if there are any questions before I move forward about the app or issues you've had with the app, actually bidding, or anything, let's address those now. But I'll pause just for a moment for any of those questions.
All right, so we have a question. I don't know that it's about the app, but it says, with your information being mostly third-party information, how accurate is this information?
I mean, you'll find every property I've ever researched myself. For one, I buy mostly in my local market. I can drive by it at this point. That's all I have the time and energy to do. So when everything I've looked at has been the property. When I go and compare the county assessment site, so I go into my county site, I pull GIS, I pull tax assessments, everything matches. I'm going to be honest with you, as an investor, what it says that estimated selling price is, great, that's a guide, but it really doesn't mean a ton to me. And because it's going to be worth what it's worth when I go to look at it. So yes, that information is very reliable, but it just keep in mind it's third party. So like a Zestimate from Zillow, we all jokingly say they're high. Just know that when it comes to those type of things, or when it comes to doing your comps, you want to do your comps or have a professional do your comps because of what you're asking. You can't rely on a third party to give you the most up-to-date information street to street where you live. I hope that answers your question. It's very reliable though. Any other questions?
Nope.
All right, great. So the website. So things I'm going to point on the website, because this is going to be kind of considered. I try to always keep our investors' perspective, not an employee perspective. To anyone on this call that hasn't heard me speak before, I'm not a licensed agent in North Carolina. I don't receive commissions for any properties we may pull up tonight or anything of the sort. They compensate me to teach you for free and to market at a grassroots level and get to know people at TREIA and like Kathy and everyone else I've met over the last 7 years. So one of the things I quickly look at when I'm on here is this top banner. And the reason I do this is because $1 starting bid is new, and reduced reserve means to me, after years of being in sales, is that I'm trying to move this property. Reserve disclosed is nice for those of us that we want to see the reserve, but I will tell you, not many of them are disclosed. And depending on the type of property, like at an auction, you're rarely going to know what the starting bid is. And on an online auction, opposed to the courthouse, it's going to be a low number, and the reserve is usually not going to be disclosed. As an investor, one of the great tools we have, and this works on the app as well, is purchase profiles and your preferences. I will go into preferences somewhere else. Well, I'll touch on it. Preferences allows me to tailor any sort of correspondence, AKA marketing, that's coming from auction.com, which I will tell you, as a consumer, we were mad about sending emails back in the day, and we can spam and things changing. We have, in the numbers in the millions, how many emails we send out a year now has greatly been reduced. And now they're more targeted. As we grow as a marketing company, we get better at that. So like for me, I go in here and I set up the counties I set up basic stuff here. And this is going to tailor the marketing to you. So it is, to me as an investor, important to do this, because I want it to come to my email. I don't want to have to go to auction.com. I really don't want to have to pull my app up, to be honest with you. And that's what I'm going to show you today. I live off my email, unfortunately. So I want it to come there. And I want it to come to an email that's not my dummy one. It's not something that I'm not going to check too often, because you have to look at every single one of these. No matter how many times you try to bid with auction.com, how many you win or lose, whether it's with auction.com or out in the market knocking doors, you want to see these opportunities. So people often go in here and can't get into their account. They say, well, I use this other email I never used. And it's like, why would you do that? Your tailored marketing stuff's coming to that. So I won't beat that drum anymore. I just don't quite understand it. You can unsubscribe from any email that comes from our company. I'm not going to send you an email unless you've asked to be contacted by me or ask one of my reps to. But you can unsubscribe from any of these counties and so forth. So know that is there. That's a nice tool. Purchase profiles. I didn't select one. Your purchase profiles, that's important because you'll hear me talk about something like remote bidding later. When you buy online, having this profile also assigns you like a QR code and so forth. And your information's already in the system. So if you bid online, you'll pick what entity you're bidding in. And I went through this. It's really cool because it scrolls down and you can scroll through all of them. You can pick the one you want and it populates all that information. So when you go to contract or go to finish up, it expedites things. You're not sitting at home typing all this information for maybe 3 or 4 different properties you happen to win. And it happens. Had a guy out of Charlotte, went through a bunch of training. 45 days later, he bought 8 houses. And they were all in different states. Carlos from Charlotte. So next, what I want to do, and talking about profiles, and again, I'm ad-libbing this, so I'm actually going through this in the mindset of what I use and do. So main page, it's not much there. One thing I do recommend to people a good bit now is this help center. I will mention that. It kind of goes, all of the information with my company, they tend to want to send it to this help center in the state specific pages. So I'm going to show you how I've learned to navigate it because it's not easy. So the one thing, here's what you want to know in North Carolina. If you go to Help Center, and you can do this for any state, I'm going to streamline this because you can just call me for assistance. If you forget my number, get in touch with someone with TREIA that has it, and they'll put you, I'm sure someone will get you with me. So what I look at is, one, we have basics, how to find properties, how to do research. So if you want to go to a more polished auction.com friendly presentation than what maybe I give you tonight, go through it, read it. That's a refresher, you know. What you want to do is when you go to the help page, this is the steps. You go to the help page, you go to foreclosed home properties. You can go to bank owned and learn bank owned, but this is how you get to the state specific pages, is down here. You scroll down. So we give you tools, timeline, glossary, REO banked information, auction day, all kinds of information in here that is really, really helpful. And then you can call me for clarifying questions. A glossary even, which I use now for training for anyone that goes into bid services, because it talks about net operating income. It talks about things you learn as an agent or an investor, terms that you should be familiar with or want to be familiar with when you're listening to people talk. But we're going to drop down here. I almost went to Virginia, North Carolina. In North Carolina, what it will do is it'll give you that state specific information. So you're like, hey, you know, I talked to Tim, but it's Sunday. I want to sit down and refresh some of this. You can go in here. We have different resources. You can go to, there's a video there. You could go to YouTube. Some of the commonly asked questions, and many of these questions I helped answer, and then we ran them through legal. So many of the questions about, you know, they mentioned upset bid. What was that? Which we're going to get to tonight, actually, which will be fun. Some of the workshops we have. So if you wanted to register for a free workshop on the 26th, anyone here is welcome to do so. It doesn't cost anything. And I'm going to be talking about what we spoke about in the group last month, or just a couple weeks ago, was the bank owned buying process. So it might be a little bit of a repeat if you did that, but nonetheless, as I add my events, and I add them about 30 days in advance, they'll pop on here. So if you want some additional training from us, this is really helpful if you want to get into another state, say, Tennessee. I don't know, in Tennessee. You could call me for Virginia and Maryland, but a good friend of mine, Diana Jones, and I don't say that as a colleague, she really is a friend now. She's an investor in Knoxville area, huge Tennessee fan. And if you have questions about Tennessee, call me. I'll put you directly with her, because there's about 6 or 8 of us around the country that do what I do. And we focus on different states. So Don't be afraid to step out of your state, and to get started, use this state-specific tab, these state-specific tabs to learn more about it. Because so many people nowadays are buying outside of their state, whether it's foreclosure or bank owned. So we've talked a little bit about the help center, talked a little bit about the app. One of the tools I want to explain to you all, and I brought it up, is the tracker. And if you would write this down, I wouldn't worry about this URL up at the top, but it's auction.com/FTE, like Frank, Tom, Edward, or foreclosure tracker Excel spreadsheet, basically. So auction.com/FTE. And I've already pulled up Wake County in here, and I can choose when I do these to have these sent to me daily, monthly, or weekly. But I'm going to go on and view a property list so you can see what this really looks like. What you're seeing on my screen is going to come to you in this format that you see. So everything I watch, when I scroll over things, everything's interactive. I can sort. It gives me my key. I can, for me being a little bit blind, I can blow this up. I can print it so I can save it and export it. I personally would pull this once a week. Most of these auctions, if you pull it once a week, you're going to cover all your properties. So this is something, as you saw in my preferences, I get one for all 5 counties around me, including the city of Lynchburg, that I asked for. This also comes in what I call the nerd version, which is a version I like, which is the good old Excel spreadsheet. I can take all that data, depending on where you're from, copy paste it, throw it in my spreadsheet, and then use it within my formulas on my spreadsheet that I've built for myself. Yes, I'm a little bit of a nerd like that. I like building spreadsheets. But you can, so really great tool. And when I quickly look at this, I can see many things that as an investor, I want to see. First, how many days on auction.com. You will see these lists are short, you all. And Wake County is one of the busiest counties we have, but right now, foreclosure auctions are pretty much obsolete. And I will be frank with you. We had a call today. Well, I'll be Tim with you. We had a call today, and I really do not foresee foreclosure business in this country. You know, take this for what it's worth for me, Tim Johnson, but I've worked for a company that Google is invested in, and it's all about data. I don't really see this changing till October.
We have the Wake County Register of Deeds at our main meeting next week. So if y'all want to hear more about that, he'd be the guy to ask.
Yeah, perfect. That's perfect, because that is going to be very specific to your localities. And then that's going to have to trickle over to the trustees and what they want to conduct, and if they want their staff going out, and then if the banks want them to start. I mean, so it's so many moving parts without us going into it. But nonetheless, I'm glad you get to see this tool, because the other thing I get to do is look, you know, it pops up a picture. I don't have to leave this spreadsheet. I can, I know the auction type because it's a foreclosure sale. Status, it's canceled. These have estimated resale values. Some of them do, some of them don't. But most of them, as you will see, will not have a credit bid, estimated credit bid. That is usually determined the morning of or just the day before an auction. So I encourage all of you in this market and what's going on now, you all probably know better than me. I mean, if it's feasible for you to look outside of your markets with low inventory counts as far as distress goes, do so and be creative. I'll share something with you because you're not here in my market. I will never share this with anyone that I work with or associate with here that invest. Is I heavily, and I know it's different in your bigger city, but I work with code enforcement heavily. I deal with now, and it has turned into offering money on deals, being able to at least talk to the owners and tracking them down, because these are properties that are getting fined. I'm not going to teach you how to do it. You learn how to do it in North Carolina, but that's turned into when I can't make deals, all of a sudden, guess what? They need a landscaping company to keep their yard up. So I have a yard, I have a few houses, well, 2 houses now that I easily make 200 or 300 bucks a piece off of just by cutting the grass, and every time they get something from the city, cutting the bushes or meeting the police because someone was in it or something. So be creative, step outside your markets to broaden your search if it's feasible for you. But I mean, just put the effort out there. This is a really cool tool. I like, because from here I can link directly to that listing on our website, and properties actually related to it. And that's the thing. These, if they get canceled, and if it does, just it's similar properties up under it. So cool tool, and you get it in an Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to pause again for a second for any questions, and then I'm going to talk about some things that are specific to North Carolina, which all of us could be working, and some stuff that's coming down the pipe for any of you interested in bidding outside of the state of North Carolina at foreclosure sales. Any questions?
Nothing yet.
All right, cool. So we're gonna skip over this. So that is the foreclosure tracker, auction.com/Frank Tom Edward, FT. All right, so upset bids. This is something that is specific to North Carolina, and this is probably the one thing so many questions and comments and aggravation revolve around. However, here's me, a newbie investor. I love it. I would love this in the state of North Carolina if I was a newbie, because I work a job. I don't have time to go be at the auction at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday morning and a Wednesday morning and a Thursday morning to potentially see an auction that not most likely, but they could potentially postpone, which means it usually gets put off about 30 days, or cancel, which means that foreclosure is canceled, usually due to bankruptcy, but in general, that note being satisfied. So the upset bid process is a process in North Carolina that after the foreclosure sale, I'll use me as an example. I come down there and I buy a house at auction. I pay $100,000 for it, and I come back up to Virginia. All I come back up to Virginia with is basically a receipt of my funds and what's called a report of sale. I have not won anything. And again, I'm not going to explain the process in depth today, but I just want to give you a general knowledge. So what it gives bidders is potentially a minimum, can be much longer, window of 10 days to come in. And so Kathy could come in, I could go to the auction today. She could come in 10 minutes after the auction the next day, or anytime within 10 business days, and she could upset my bid by at least 5%. Again, not going into the details, but this could go on and on, because every time somebody posts a bid, such as Kathy did, topping my bid by about 5%, there's now a new 10 days. And I've seen this go on for about 6 months is the longest I've seen, but it can go back and forth and back and forth. So this allows you, as whether you're a new investor or just a really busy investor that hasn't thought about getting to the court, it's a quick way to weed out what actually went to auction. What you lose is the opportunity to be the one that sets that number. So what we offer you as a solution, or at least a way to track that, and my whole speech or why I'm telling you about that, is we offer a remote bid, not a remote bid, an upset bid tracker for the state of North Carolina. What you're allowed to do, and I'm going to pull you an actual upset bid here in a second. You can go here, and I say subscribe, but it doesn't cost anything. Put your information in, and it will send you this every Friday. Now, during the days of COVID, we're not having a lot of foreclosures, so there may be many times that a smaller county you're looking at, or maybe even Wake County, doesn't have an update because of the lack of auctions going on. So here is how I recommend use this. This tracker, which I'm going to get one pulled up because it'll make more sense to you this way. I pulled one. This is for Wake County. So right now, Wake County, this is the upset bid tracker. This shows the last day for upset bids. So you're going to see some of these are old because of COVID. Last day checked. The thing is with COVID and many of these getting held, some of these may have been put on hold. Some of them may have went on and finished up, but staff at courthouses and auction.com and law firms decided, you know, we're going to stop going to courthouses. So thus these don't get updated. But this is what you will see when this comes to you. It will show you the file number. Why is this important? This is extremely important. This number is not going to be found on auction.com. So here's Tim, the investor. I look at this and I'm just going to pick one. I have this property. We're going to highlight. Let's just highlight this one right here for those that are watching. So everyone, shoot, it doesn't matter. This one. So let's just highlight this one. Doesn't really matter which one. All right, just so we can keep our eyes on it. So if you follow me across here, this went to auction. Last day for upsets was 3.5. Now that could have changed. This one does show, oh, I'm sorry, wrong page. Active assets. It'd help if I show you the active ones and not the expired ones. Apologize. So here's a much larger list. So this is a lot pre-COVID stuff on here, but if you look, 615, 615. These are still active for upset bids. So what I would do as an investor, I would take this list and I would say, oh, this is 4045 Joe Hammond Road. I know that that's next door. Maybe I like that. Somebody on this call may argue with me, but let's just say I like that. I want this number because what I'm going to do without going into details, I'm going to take real quick. Okay. I'm going to do everything from my computer on this address that I need to do in about 30 minutes. County taxes, assessments, maybe some comps or some generic comps from the county records office on current sales that maybe a neighbor sold a house, just to get a ballpark of if I'm going to go look at it. If I can find the balance of the mortgage, I'm going to find that if there's a mortgage. Everything that we do in our pre-due diligence and our game plan to get prepared, that's what you want to do. But you want to write down this number, because once you've done all that fun drive-by look at, hopefully not break into, but some people do or whatever. You're not supposed to by law, full disclosure. Please don't break into houses or go into houses that are in foreclosure or bank owned. But we all know people do it. Do what you have to do. Write this number down, because this, consider this court language. When you walk into the SP, Special Proceedings Office, and if you don't know where that is, go to the clerk of court and ask them, and they'll explain to you. In any courthouse, they'll tell you where to go. Sometimes it's also in the deeds and records office. Sometimes it's not. So Special Proceedings Office. And what you do is just walk up. Did I unhighlight my file? Yeah. Anyway, you walk up and you just tell them, hey, I would like the file for 20 SP96. What that means is this foreclosure, it came to sale in 2020. It's a special proceedings file, and it's a 96 filing. So it's their file number 96 for that specific, this year, and that specific type of filing. The law firm in which it is going to close with, whoever wins it, is Hutchins Law Firm. You'll see many of them here, which, real quick, I haven't looked at this in a long time. So first thing I would do is I would look at this law firm and see if they have listings for other foreclosures, because we only have 20% in the marketplace, 20 to 25. I'd look at this one because I'm not familiar with them. Albertelli, Brock and Scott, Riley Pope, I'm vaguely familiar with them. Shapiro and Engel. I would go to all of these websites and find properties. There's your little gift regarding that, because many of these are going to have their listing. This is obviously going to have the address, and let's see what else it gives you. Here you go. It's going to tell you the city, county, state, zip, the winning bid, or the revert amount. So if I wanted to quickly sort these, like me being the cheap guy I am, and sort from, I want to sort from high to low. There we go. I can take the revert amount, reverted for $1. And I can look, oh, this one was $8,200. This was $13,000. I like this kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff I can spend 20, spend another 20, and make 40 kind of. stuff, and it's not real difficult. Could be something that I buy for 14 though. And just to go back to what I said, these are risky properties. We're not here to learn about how to buy, but we have an attorney on the call. You need to consult legal advice before you go buying these properties, because this could be a second mortgage. This could have $100,000 federal tax lien. This number doesn't tell the whole story. Just want to make sure I'm not trying to sell anyone on this. But there's ways to use these trackers that I would use them in North Carolina that you can quickly target, because yours, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to sort yours by winning bid, revert amount, or any of these columns. And I don't know that you'll see what's expired. If you do, you will not see who bought it. But as an investor, I might go to the county record, figure out who it was deeded in. And if it's somebody like an LLC that maybe I know flips houses, or maybe will sell theirs strictly what I call strictly wholesale, just buy it as is kind of flip. Hey, there you go. Find out who owned it. That information's not here, but it's all public record. And those are ways that I work here in Virginia too, to try to find stuff for me, because I can't just rely on auction.com. I work for them. So most anything I would have to get approval to bid on. So I'm kind of forced to go outside of that loop at times.
So we have a comment and a couple of questions. The comment is, we have a realtor on the call who actually says the property on your sheet there at 6808 Pool Road, it's his listing. And so the foreclosure was completed a while ago, and it is now under contract to a buyer after it was foreclosed. Yeah,
and that is very possible, because if you look at these dates last checked, I mean, some of these, because they canceled auctions. And that's the thing, the way I use this tracker, and whoever that was, thank you for bringing that up. The way I use this tracker, it is a guide. This is a fluid process. I could walk in and check this today, and right behind me, someone else walks in the door and raises it by 15% or whatever they wanted to, as long as it's a minimum of 5%. We also, Wake County, we're fortunate because when we are, I hate to say the term rolling, because it's a sense, it's not a positive thing that people are getting foreclosed on in my mind personally. But when we are busy, Wake County is getting checked pretty often. So you could typically expect these are going to be checked within a week. Again, it's a guide. So I would find this, like the agent just commented, that one may be sold. I would find this one, like this particular address I highlighted. I would look, all I would do is say, hey, it's still an upset bid. The winning bid was 155. And as of now, well, that's an old asset. The revert amount was this. And as of now, there's no upset bid, because yours will have the upset bid date and if it was upset. So use it as a guide, because if this number, is at $50,000 and I'm trying to be under 20 or 30 on everything I buy, it's no need for me going to the courthouse anyway. So truly a guide, as the Mr. or Miss Agent mentioned, it's not, we don't check this every day. And so things do happen. And with COVID, you have to be really careful, or with what is transpiring in the marketplace since February, late February, you have to be conscious of this last date checked. If you want something up to date, if I can provide it, I will. You're welcome to contact me. But again, I'm not an agent, and agents are going to have access to pull some of that sale information as quickly as I could, especially in your market.
So
Thanks,
this
Dan.
question, I have answered the person, but to see if you'd like to add anything to it, is asking what are the reasons auction date gets canceled. And I just listed some, that there are lots of reasons. Borrowers might come to the hearing and get them postponed. Sometimes the attorney will discover a title issue and postpone them. Sometimes people will make a payment. I just didn't know if you had anything you wanted to add to that.
I really not. I mean, I like to talk, so I probably could, but no, you're exactly right. I typically tell people why it canceled or postponed. It doesn't matter so much. They're trying to work the deal out. And that's the kind of the way
they're trying to keep the person in the home.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, and North Carolina is a very I would say, homeowner friendly state. From what I've seen, they do really try to help and work with owners to keep these houses.
We do. We have the whole office of foreclosure prevention that will really help. Okay, I have two more questions for you, Tim, and they're both related, so I'm going to give them to you together because the first one says, where do you get that Excel sheet? And the second one is, can you show us how to export the data to Excel again? So
the Excel sheet that I showed you when I go up here. So this data here, we'll get to the right. Bear with me. Oh, shoot. This one right here. When this email comes to you, it will come with another attachment that is an Excel spreadsheet. Now, if you want to take a property that's on our site or anything that you want to, let me see here, to print, all you have to do is when you go to print it, just save it as a PDF and I'll save it as a document. And that's what I do because I create, I say, a virtual folder for every house and all my calculations for each deal. Does that answer the question? It will come to you as already as an Excel spreadsheet. Can you hear me?
How do I sign up for the Excel? I think she must mean how does she sign up for the emails?
Oh, for the upset bid tracker. I'm sorry. I don't think I gave that. It is good. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. It's auction.com. It might be in this. Yeah, just auction.com/, and I'll type it in again just so everyone who's watching can see it. So it's just auction.com/upset bid. So what you see right there, auction.com/upset bid. Go there, put in your information, what counties and so forth, or what jurisdictions, because you're going to have multiple. Well, no, the upset bid tracker. I'm sorry. I keep going back and forth. The upset bid tracker, put in your information and you will receive it every Friday. I've actually pushed to get that information to folks on the East Coast earlier on Friday. So there's not like you don't miss any auctions. So they should be getting it out earlier than they used to. So yeah, auction.com/upset.
That's all I got for now.
All right. So that, let's see, with tools, what I would like to do at this point, I mean, as far as tools and stuff we have, I'm going to let, if you have questions, ask, because the next thing I'm going to talk about is if there's anything in this that is a sales pitchy, and I'm not selling anything, but I think this is, if you're, I'll call myself a nerd again, if you like technology and stuff, and if you've been around foreclosures, this is a really big deal. It's one of the most common requests I've had from investors over the last 7 years I've worked for auction.com. So if you have any questions about anything you've seen so far or something that we don't have to dig into too much, I'll be happy to field it. Then I want to talk to you about something that really can help you investors that want to look at buying outside of your states. Going once.
Revert amount. What does revert amount mean?
Oh, revert. Great question. Revert essentially means it's sold back to the bank. No third party bid on it, so it reverted to the bank. Thank you for asking. I assume when you're around it enough, you kind of forget.
Yeah, and we have investors of all different levels, so I'm sure there are those who know what that means. Those who
yeah,
don't.
also, if you are new on here and you ever hear somebody say, because this one threw me off when I first started working, if you ever hear anybody say they have to cry in auction, it's just mean they're conducting a sale. It's kind of an odd term. Won't go into the history of it, but that's another term that I'll assume people know what it means, and not everyone does. All right. So if there are no questions, what I want to talk about, and I know this might seem to appeal more to a more established investor, But this is something, when you think of just the swing of technology, and I've worked for this company for 7 years. I know where we were doing land sales when we started, and I know where we're headed, which I can't share all that, but we just had a call today about it because we did have to do some layoffs, and we're talking about where we're taking this as a company. So it's called remote bidding. Now, the website for you to do the backup, I'm going to run through this site because it gives a lot of good information, is auction.com/remote bid. Go figure, right? Auction.com/remote bid. In layman's terms, this is a way for you as an investor to invest at many courthouses around the country at a foreclosure sale. Some of you that are new on here might be saying, well, that's not a big deal. It's an extremely big deal because the way most laws, and I'm going to watch what I say here, have been interpreted in most states is that you need to be in person to bid or have a representative, an agent, or somebody that represents you as a buyer live and in person. What's getting ready to happen is, since people know Barrett Jackson, we're going to start allowing, by law, legal have done this, you know, it's not something we just choose to do. It's a lot of work behind it. You are going to be able to bid from anywhere in the country, from your phone at some point in time, pretty much any state. Now, there are going to be some states that are later. North Carolina could very likely be one because of the upset bid process. But still, this is for those that really want to look outside your area, specifically like Tennessee and so forth, because it's close by. It allows you to expand your opportunities. So as you grow as an investor, you're going to get a better idea of what you feel comfortable and don't feel comfortable with, who you want to work with and don't want to work with. And you know what? If I have a buddy in Tennessee that is eager to invest and do things as I am, and he has the means or the drive to do it, I'll buy houses in Tennessee. So this is what we're gearing that towards are those buyers. Sorry, I went into that too much, but you'll be able to watch the auction. We actually ran a field test on this, and yes, it is a really cool setup, but I will tell you, it is a work in process. Myself, actually a couple VPs, managers, we actually were all given, I was given a set amount of money. They put $250,000 in my account, and I was actually able to bid on properties at a sale in Alaska that we were all competitively bidding on to see how this works. And it is real time. I am bidding with I can put in a pre-auction bid, so I don't have to watch it, or I can sit there and I'll see on my app, like we talked about the app earlier, when I go to the foreclosure page, I'll be able to see that auction's in process, that they're starting to cry that auction right now, so I can go to it and open it up. This will change so much in the foreclosure world. I can't emphasize how big of a deal this is, actually. I mean, we're the first company to do this, and I'm sure other people will start doing it, but the time is now, and it doesn't really cost you much of anything. Basically, what you would do, say you're interested in any of these states, and they're going to be either all the counties of that state or specific counties, but Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, California, for those can't see my screen, Idaho, Mississippi, Nevada, Oregon. My best friend lives in Portland, Oregon. You know, why wouldn't I want to do this? She's there and she's an agent. Tennessee, Texas, Washington, Washington State, that is. You could bid at any foreclosure auction that has online bidding, or this from, you know, Raleigh, North Carolina, from Cary, North Carolina, from Asheville, I mean, anywhere. So all it requires is you go in, you set up an escrow account. I will tell all of you it's non-interest bearing. For that, what if that means anything to anybody, you're not going to earn interest on your money. I'm not going to earn interest on your money, or auction.com's not. And you do not have to put funds in it. If you want to, great. If you don't, you don't. And when you want to yank them out, they'll be out within 24 hours. We've tested all that through. It works great. I'll go through this little tutorial because it's probably the best thing to show you. because I know there's some people based on conversations I've had in North Carolina that will be interested in this. So basically you download the app, you follow, I think I went through some of these steps earlier is what it was. Yep. So you download our app, you can sign up for remote bid. You'll go to a property and it will actually tell you that, would you like to bid? It'll prompt you that you can remote bid. When you do so, it'll pull up your profile. You'll be able to select, if you have multiple profiles, which one you want and submit it. It's just saying the bidder profile is complete, but you've already done that. Once you've completed that, you'll be able to bid. It will show your, I was trying to get to $8 million. So it tells your available funds to bid with. You could bid on $10 million worth of property if you want, but as you win it, you only have $8 million to work with. I wish I had $8 million, but you know what I mean. So if you're bidding, if you're an institutional investor, and I'm going to tell you, if anyone on here does buy a lot and looks at bidding on a lot of properties, it probably, based off my experience right now, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have someone there with helping you track the properties as they're bidding to make sure your bids are going through as you want them. And right now, as an investor, I would more than likely bid as I go, opposed to a proxy bid. I ran into, out of 15 properties, one property I proxy bidded on, it put in multiple bids. Now we would fix that for you, but it bid me on top of myself. So right now, if you're going to use this, if you're one of those listening, like, yes, I want to buy in Tennessee, yes, this is a great idea, just know that you can bid on as much as you want, but you only have the funds to buy the ones. And if there are multiple auctions at the same times, or they're going off at different times, you could eat your funds up. And I recommend bidding as you go for right now. You'll see, as I mentioned before, it gives you this little prompt to submit your remote bid. It's on the listings. And this is all really new to me too, you'll see. And this is accurate, yeah, because this is exactly what it looked like on mine. This is an Android they're displaying it on. It is on Android and iOS. So I can enter my bid. I can select who I'm bidding as, so whether it's my LLC or Tim Johnson, and I can submit that bid. When your bid's received, it's going to prompt you by telling you the icon looks a little different now. Right now, they're also sending you an email, which may change. Just letting you know. The testing the emails with all the bidding I did the other day, I bet you had 120 emails in my email about the time I was done saying I've been outbid. And so it is a work in process. It is working. It has been used at live auctions. It is currently being used at live auctions. And now it's just a matter of how quickly it's starting to roll out. We actually had trainings this week because they anticipate it's going to be in Virginia and Maryland. It was already scheduled for about the next 6 months, but it's still pretty much on track so far to try to roll that out. This is something that trustees are interested in and the banks are very interested in. So some commonly asked questions are in here. I'm not going to go into them tonight. I want to make you familiar with it because this is not something that's going to apply to everyone on this call, not right this moment. I hope it's something that applies to every one of you who are successful in doing this in the future, because I can tell you from the car business, when I was in it, there was no such thing as buying things online. Cars, you kind of go kick the tires kind of thing. Now, I have a friend that works for Redfin in Portland. I may even share this with Kathy earlier, that she just got her license 3 months ago. And I mean, as far as customer service, she'd be the first person I hired in any business. But I'll tell you what, she, in her 3 or 4 months of working for them, is making 70 to 100 grand a year just showing appointments that people make online on houses that are advertised by people online for 1% commissions. No agent wants to hear that, but as we grow and move into the future, and that's why I picked a .com based company when I worked remotely to work for and research a company that I knew this company could get to a point where they replace people like me, and they're getting to that point one day. That's something I took on, and we accept working for a company like this. Is the technology ultimately is the goal, and it's to take the people out of it as much as possible. So I really do emphasize to you, you're one of the first 5 or 6 groups in North Carolina, if the first 5, maybe the first 3, that's heard anything about remote bidding from me. So look into it, call me if you ask questions, and we have experts on that. I'll put you in touch with if I can't answer those questions. But at this point, that's about 1 hour and 15 in. That's an overview of the technology I use and how I use it. Stuff or more tools always come out, so you can always check auction.com. For that, you'll probably see some banner ads in North Carolina that direct you to that state landing page where I showed you can sign up for webinars. You may see some of that, but I just want to say in closing, say thank all of you guys. Most importantly, don't mean to sound like a hippie, but be nice to each other, love one another, and in this time and in this environment, I think that's the best thing we can do for each other and for ourselves, is to love each other and ourselves. So thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, let's go.
Ain't nothing wrong with being a hippie. That's my people there. That's a very wise truth in those words. Y'all, if anyone has any questions, we're going to give you a few more minutes to text them. I don't have any right now, but while you're thinking of them, a couple reminders for you. We obviously are unable to do in-person networking during this time. Unfortunately, we certainly are very excited about looking forward to the day when we get back to that again, because of course this is, you know, just a substitute for that. You can't shake hands, you can't you know, sit there and randomly chat and come up with a deal and make your new forever financial friend, but we'll be back there someday. For now, you have a couple opportunities. Number 1, go to the TREIA, the Triangle Real Estate Investors Association networking group on Facebook. Very active site. Lots of deals are being put there. Lots of people are offering things. Lots of people are looking for things. People are looking for lenders. People are looking for roofers. So go there. Second, everyone, we've been focusing this on new members, but everyone is welcome to do a member spotlight. You saw one at the beginning. If you were on a little early when we rolled the slideshow, you saw Roxana's. Everyone's welcome to do a member spotlight. If you do that, we will play it at meetings, subgroups, main meetings, and everyone will get to know you, and they'll get to know what you may be looking for, what you do. It's, you know, it's again, just a substitute for that human interaction, but it is something. And as we get more and more of those videos, you'll learn more about other members that you may want to do business with. So please use those resources. Now, Facebook has a new resource, and that is, they have this thing called Rooms. I'm thinking about trying to do a time and date for networking with a Facebook room and see how that works out, but I'm still working on it. It's a brand new thing, and I haven't quite gotten it yet. But the other thing that we are looking for is your input to TREIA in general. Besides just what you are looking for, what do you want to get out of your education? What do you want to get out of TREIA? We spent, you know, 3 years putting this new structure in place, which we finally have now. And with that, we can offer you, our members, many more things. We can offer things to keep you know, the more experienced members involved. So we're looking for your suggestions, and we've gotten a lot, and we're very excited about some new programs that we're going to put in place. And one thing that we did ask about was a mentorship program. I will tell you, if you are an experienced investor in this meeting, that we've had several new members who do want to take part in a mentorship program. So we're now looking for some experienced members who would like to be a mentor. If that's you, please email TREIAprojects@gmail.com. If we get some interested mentors, we'll put a meeting together and put the program together. And this would be, you know, a paid opportunity. That's just one small example. We have a lot of exciting new courses, programming, and projects that will be upcoming. Of course, several of them can't take place until we get together live. But again, we are looking forward to that. Tim, someone is asking for you to post your contact information again. If you want to just tell it to me, I can put it in here.
I will do that. Should be able to put that screen up.
Yeah, just, oh, okay, perfect. And I haven't gotten any other questions. So guys, this is your last chance. We'll be ready to sign off. Jackie or Leslie, is there anything you want to say? There's Tim's contact information again. Once again, man, this is the second time Tim has been with us. I don't know how many of y'all were here the first time. Both times, excellent, excellent information.
We could have him every week.
Oh my gosh, I was just about to say Tim, that we, you know, if you have other topics, Tim and I have been emailing, so please, if as much as you're willing to come back with new topics, we'd love to have you. This is just great, and I bet a lot of people are excited about auction.com now, as I know I am. So thank you so much. Just excellent, excellent.
Thank you, and no problem. Let's talk more about music. And if there's any topics that I don't cover, still share. I mean, do share, because I have people in the corporate office. So many people are working from home right now. There's so many great and knowledgeable people within our company that all I have to do is ask them to set in. I mean, it might even be our vice president or something. I mean, it's so many.
Y'all heard that? What?
You never know.
Never
I mean,
know.
if it's beneficial, you guys have 50-some people on here. My webinars, not because of who I am, but because of the work I've put into it, are some of the most well-attended webinars we have in the company. So I could probably get some people on the call that could give more in-depth information or on how things work behind the scenes.
So what Tim's saying here goes right along with what I just said. We want TREIA to be about you. We are actively trying to make TREIA more responsive to your needs, whether you're a brand new member or whether you're an experienced member. We are diversifying, trying to be more flexible so we can provide something for everyone. So if you're a super experienced investor and you want something detailed and technical, ask Tim. He'll see if they can provide it. Same thing if you're a newbie and want something more basic, just let us know. We'll communicate it to Tim. We would love to have it, because, you know, joining TREIA is a great first step. Every investor should join their local REIA, but joining is not enough. Make use of your membership. You know, you've paid to be a member. Now make it work for you. Get to know people, find lenders, find people to buy your projects. Tell us what education you want so that you can become a well-rounded and experienced investor. And certainly being here tonight is a step in the right direction. So not only thanks to Tim, but thanks to all of you for being here as well. Anything else before we shut it down? All right. Hope y'all have a good evening. I'd repeat what Tim said. Be kind to each other out there.
Yes.
It's a lot going on right now.
Stay safe.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.